gray sky, hello blue. There's nothing can hold me when I hold you. It feels so right, it can't be wrong. Rocking and rolling all week long. These days are on.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from the AMP.TV mobile studios here in fabulous Las Vegas. That's AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you by Cali Vegas, helping people create and host their very own radio, TV, or multimedia talk shows. Cali Vegas can help with everything they need to get out of sitting in hours of traffic or sitting at home doing nothing and have their very own talk show right in their very own home studio. For more information, contact Cali Vegas at 949-445-1119. That's 949-445-1119. Again, 949-445-1119. Or visit them at calivegas.com. That's CALI Vegas.com. And a big welcome to everybody listening in on Magic 97.9 FM right here in Las Vegas, Talk 1490 down in Southern Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, and everybody else on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, and those watching on Hotel Television and AMP TV and streaming at thesportscircus.com. And you probably are wondering why we played the Happy Days theme song at the very top of the show. Well, guess what? We have a very special guest. In fact, let's let him introduce himself.
Hey there, Sal. Don Most here. Good to be with you and on the Sports Circus.
All right. And Don most people may remember him from the famed Happy Days show, which was probably America's favorite sitcom, I would think, of all time. And it came out at the right time, too. And for Don, for all those people that may have been living under a rock that may not know what Happy Days is or was, tell everybody in 30 seconds what it was and what your role was.
Well, it was a nostalgic look back at the 50s. It was created by Gary Marshall. We shot it in the 70s into the 80s, and starred Ron Howard and Henry Winkler and Tom Bosley as the dad, and Marion Ross as the mom, Erin Moran's daughter. And then Hanson Williams, Henry Winkler, and I were buddies of Richie, and Henry, of course, was the Fonz. And we went to number one in the country and for a couple of years, and stayed in the top 3 to 5 for a good while after that, and been on in reruns ever since.
Yeah, those are great reruns. And me, I remember as a kid, look, the world revolved around Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. The world would stop at 7 p.m. Everybody gathered in front of the television. It was incredible for us.
Yeah, well, there was no internet. There was no cable even then. So there were basically your 3 major networks and then, local stations. So, yeah, when we were number one, we had like 50 to 60 million people watching every Tuesday night, which is hard to fathom. It was hard to fathom.
The market share is crazy. The market share was insane. We had one of your other co-stars on the show about a year and a half ago, and a really interesting guy. Really loved talking with him. And he told me, and that would be Anson Williams. Anson told me that out of the guys, when it came to athletics, this is a sports show, right? He said that you were the one that had the most athletic ability.
Oh, well, that's nice of him. Well, I was kind of a jock, and I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I was a huge baseball fan, a Yankee fan, because I started following baseball around 59, 60, and Mickey Mantle was my god. And so, when I was young, I had visions of trying to play major league ball, and I was a good I was good, I was real fast and became a good ball player. Baseball was my main sport. But, when I got to high school and I didn't really get that big or anything, and I realized that wasn't going to be in the cards, to make it to the majors. So, and then I switched my focus. I actually started focusing on acting and singing pretty young. I started going after it when I was about 13, going to schools in Manhattan for singing and acting and dancing and all that. So I shifted. But when I was, 7 or 8, 9, my bedroom wall was covered with pictures of the Mick it would look like Mickey Mantle wallpaper, you know.
Right. Yeah, but come on, it was Mickey Mantle. It wasn't a slouch. I mean, at the end of the day, look, it's Mickey Mantle. For example, out of all the memorabilia balls and stuff I have, I really only have baseballs that are signed by some players. I don't have the pictures. I don't care about that stuff. But when it came to Mickey Mantle, that was the benchmark. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. And if you had his 51 rookie card, though, that would have been that's a good one to have too, right?
Yeah, you know what? You could buy a house with that today.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy. But by the way, Don, we are carried on the Yankees radio network in Honolulu. We're on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. So great news. The Yankees are alive and well. And a big welcome in to everybody listening on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA and our CBS Sports affiliates, our Fox and NBC and CNBC affiliates, Westwood One, from coast to coast. We're here with Don Most, actor, singer, director, co-star in Happy Days, known as Ralph Malph. I'll tell you what, this guy is a really diversified entertainer. So outside of the acting from the Happy Days world, you transition. You're a singer. You were directing. You were acting in films. I've seen you in other films as well. Tell everybody a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, when I started doing the show, I was about 20. And the first couple of roles that I was working in New York doing mainly started out with a lot of commercials, but a little bit of TV. They didn't shoot a lot of TV in New York back then. Little theater. And then when I went to LA, the first couple of roles I landed were dramatic parts, which is what I was more interested in. But then when Happy Days came along and I went through all the screen auditions and screen tests, and it was a comedy, and I felt like, yeah, well, I could do a comedy if the script, if the material, the character's real good. So, then when I landed that, and that's for another show, that whole landing that part. But I obviously became associated with this character in a pretty big comedy, and certain style of comedy. So it was tough. I left the show after my contract was up after 7 years because I wanted to play all kinds of different roles, and I wasn't really like that character. I was never a comedian. I was the shy, introverted guy in high school. My friends would cut all the jokes. And I knew people like Ralph, and I would use them to help me get into that character because I wasn't like that.
That's interesting.
I knew I needed. When my contract was up after 7 years, I decided it was a tough decision because I loved working on the show and loved the people, but I decided it was time to move on. I wanted to try to have a career beyond playing this one character. So, and it was tough. It was tough because it was so popular, and the typecasting syndrome was a reality. It happened. But I continued to chip away at it and, get a part here and something that was different, something here and start building it. And then it got to a point in theater and some independent film and guest roles on TV and then it just kept building and building. And I think it got to a point. I did a recurring role on Glee a few years ago, and I think that helped. And because now all of a sudden I was playing a dad, and I'm not a teenager, obviously, so it started opening up doors for me again in a bigger way. And I started doing some really nice parts in some movies and some great theater opportunities. And then I ventured out. I was singing when I was 15 years old in the nightclubs in the Catskill Mountains, upstate New York. One summer.
That's beautiful country.
Yeah, and that was my first real love, as I like to say, I loved all the great standards, and especially with a jazz bent to it, of the Great American Songbook. And I knew I would want to go back to that at some point. And I did. About 6 years ago, I put together an act and started trying it out in jazz clubs, and it went great. People were like really surprised. They didn't expect to see this with me. And so, and then I have a CD out now called Mostly Swinging. And I've been playing at clubs and all that. And I'm actually working on a second CD with a great producer out of Nashville. And we're in the middle of it. We had to stop when the virus when all this came down, and I was supposed to go to Nashville, but that got postponed, and we have like 4 songs left. So I'm really excited about that CD too.
I think we have some music from your CD, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, that's going to take us out to break. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're going to be hearing? Yeah,
this was actually from a live performance that I did with the Orlando Jazz Orchestra, big 17-piece band. And so I have video, and I think what you have there is the audio from my live performance. I forgot to mention, I did send you some from an MP3 of a little sample of the new stuff, but that's for another time, I guess.
All right, let's see what we have here. We're going to break. Let's see what we've got. Folks, you're listening to Don Most's music. We're going to be back on the circus in just a few minutes with actor, singer, director, co-star of Happy Days, knows Ralph Malph, Don Most. Back here in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, I woke up this morning, baby, had to call you on the telephone. I woke up this morning, sugar, had to call you on the phone. I said, come on over, baby, come and meet me with your black drawers on. Yeah, baby.
Do you have any questions about legal issues? Have you ever been stopped by a police officer and issued a ticket that you're scared to deal with? Have you ever been in trouble with the law and don't know what to do? Do you have a will or power of attorney question? Is your home being foreclosed upon and you don't know where to turn? Maybe you were given a contract that you don't understand. For freedom and a worry-free solution, call for Legal Shield today at 213-245-1305. It's that simple. You will have access to high-quality law firms that will fight for you for less than $1 a day. Peace of mind is just a call away. That's for Legal Shield. Call 213-245-1305 or visit us at nocourt.us. It's justice for all and not justice for some. Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea, the American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's ABTRUSTCO.com or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away. This is Sal Tuzzolino, host and ringmaster of the Sports Circus. Why listen to the same old dog and pony show that you've heard all day long? The Sports Circus covers everything that other shows don't or are too scared to cover. There's no primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the mouth and you'll beg for more. You can call in and participate with our chaos if you dare. Join me and celebrity guests for Havoc and Mayhem here on AMP TV or stream the show live at thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus, so we prove it every day.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Wonder this time where she's gone. Wonder if she's gone to
All right.
stay.
So There I am singing again. Hi, this is Don Most on Sports Circus with Sal, and listening to a little bit of a sample from the new CD that I will be coming out probably in the summer. Don't have a name for it yet. It's a little different than the earlier music you heard, which was big band jazz. And by that you can find, that's called Mostly Swinging, Demos, Mostly Swinging. And you can find that on Amazon and iTunes and all that. But yeah, it's a different side of me that people don't know all that much about, although more and more people are beginning to, which is nice. Yeah.
All right. A big round of applause for Don Most, actor, singer, director, co-star of Happy Days, and known as, of course, Ralph Malph. But guess what? This guy is very talented, and a big welcome back to everybody listening in on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, and even those right here in Las Vegas on Magic 97.9 FM, and everybody watching on Hotel Television. Thanks for joining us. So, Don, what I found interesting in the last segment is that you were using some of the people maybe that you knew in real life to generate a particular character because that wasn't really who you are. But now, musically speaking, we're seeing who you are.
Well, you're seeing, you're seeing a little bit more of what was authentic to me and in me, so to speak, in my core. This kind of music, I grew up loving it since I was about 9. I really got turned on to this kind of music, and it's one side. I've been doing. There's some really cool parts I've been doing in. I have a film that's on Amazon Prime right now called MBF, aka Man's Best Friend, MBF. Dogs are involved, but it's really about a wounded vet coming back, with brain injury and trying to assimilate back into life. And something happens. It's a pretty heavy film, and something happens to him, and he needs an attorney, and I play a guy who winds up being his defense attorney. So. And that's a very different side. You'll see, a very different. It's not Ralph Malph by any means. So you should check that out on Amazon Prime, Prime MBF, and a few other things that when we can get to it whenever, in a minute or two. There's a few things online right now. Some new series that I did, a web series called Viral Vignettes, and we could talk about that. But then people will start to see. A lot of different sides of me, and that are probably closer to me than Ralph was.
Well, right, because when people hear those two words, Ralph Malph, a lot of people say, "Hey, I remember him saying, 'I still got it.'"
Right.
Okay, it's just kind of a line. Yeah. So for everybody out there, in case you think that's the only line he knows, he certainly doesn't, but he may do it for us. You never know.
I might. And talk about. Observing other people and using things, from those observations. That line, I got our director, who was a brilliant comedic director, Jerry Paris, and people might remember him. He played the next door neighbor in the Dick Van Dyke Show, the dentist Jerry Helper, and he also directed most of those. Jerry was more like Ralph. He was funny as can be, and he would love to, be the guy getting all the laughs, and he used to. That was his line. He would when he would get us laughing and score sort of unexpectedly in the middle of whatever. He would say that line. He would go, "I still got it. I still got it." Whatever. And so, without telling anybody, one day I decided I was going to put it in a scene. It wasn't in the script, but I just said, I'm totally going to use that line after Ralph cracks a joke. And I did, and everyone loved it. And then they started using it, writing it in more and more. And that's how that came about. I mean, I was constantly, I had to draw on other people because like I said, I wasn't like that. But you see, for me, it's almost easy. I almost prefer playing characters that are different than me. And you have to find an element of yourself. You have to find something in yourself that you can connect to all of these characters. But a lot of times, you have to be very imaginative how to get it done. because if you're not like this guy, you know, you have to find a way. But to me, that's the challenge. That's what I love about it. And that's why doing these other roles now, there's something I did, you talked about with Anson. I did something with Anson Williams a few years ago, where we played brothers, and we are completely different than the characters on Happy Days. It's very dark. Really? It's like dark humor, really dark. There's language in it, and it's on. It just got released on YouTube about a month ago, so you got to check it out. I mean, we're so different. It's called Harvest Time, and it's if you just put in a search on YouTube with my name or Anson's name and Harvest Time, you'll be able to see it. And you'll see it very different, both of us. Anson did a great job, and people are very surprised, but the response has been terrific. So it's great that, you know, like I said, it was hard breaking away from that when I was younger, but it's getting better and more open. I did another film called Lost Heart that will be out in the early fall, with the same production company that I did MBF with, and great script and a great role. I play a local small town pastor in it. And it's a dramatic film, but with some great comedy as well. And then I do want to mention, I also did this viral vignettes thing that I mentioned with wonderful actor, comedian Robert Wall, who you know from Batman and Arliss. He created Arliss on HBO. You know, he was in the sports.
I remember Arliss, yeah.
Yeah, so Robert created that show and played Arliss, and he was in Hollywood Nights. And I'd done The Sunshine Boys, the great Neil Simon play with Robert a couple of years ago. So when I saw this script come my way for this new series, Viral Vignettes, I thought of Robert, and we did it. We did it in this world of where you have to stay at home. And we shot, I was in my office in front of my computer, and he was in his house. And then the producer director was in another place and put us all together. And I did this scene with him. You know, we're playing old friends, and it's a hysterical scene. So people would enjoy checking that out. It's on YouTube as well. You look up Viral Vignettes and you put my name in, and it'll come up. So I guess what I'm driving at is there is something good about getting older. It's like it's creating more distance and space between the old days, and it's opening up some really nice opportunities to play, you know, all kinds of dads or uncles or attorneys or lowlifes, whatever.
Well, you kind of get to do what you wanted to do and be that diversified character. By the way, folks, we're here with Don Most, actor, singer, director, and you probably may remember him as Ralph Malph on the hit show Happy Days. But Don, you're a very diversified actor, singer, director. Look, for all the work that you've done, a lot of people haven't really had a chance to see what you're capable of. And look, I know you can go to DonnieMost.com and you could check out some of the work that you've done. Is that not correct?
Yeah, I need to update that because I've been really bad. There's some stuff up there. I've posted more of the recent work on social media, you know, like my Facebook page, the Don Most on Facebook, and on Twitter, it's at Most_Don. So that's where, but I will update my website one of these days. I better.
Please do.
Yeah, sure.
That's all right. Make sure that you get that one right. We got to make sure that I'm giving the right information here.
Yeah, no, you are. I just started with Instagram. I'm not too up on that, but I think my name on that is Don Most 1. Yeah, so people could follow me there. And like I said, and directing, you mentioned, I've directed 3 independent films. First one was a film called The Last Best Sunday, very dramatic film, but really interesting, with mainly 2 high school, boy and a girl, kind of a Romeo and Juliet story. And that's on, I know it's on Amazon, but not Prime, but you can find it there and some of the other platforms. platforms, and a movie called Moola, Moola, very funny film, heartfelt comedy, and that's on Amazon Prime, and then a family film called Harley's Hill. So and I'm hoping to be directing again soon. I have a bunch of projects. I actually have the rights to Tommy John's story, and we're getting close to be hopefully getting the money.
If we had one more segment with you, I'd like to talk a little bit more about that, because I've had Tommy on the show. Do you have time for one more, or do you have to go?
Yeah. No, we could do one more, and let's talk about the top, because I think
Absolutely.
It's a fabulous project that Tommy wants me to direct, and so I have the option with a producer partner on, and we could talk about that.
Absolutely. All right, let's play a little bit more music from Don Most, and go ahead and let us know what we have here. Start playing it, and we've got about 30 seconds. Go ahead real quick. Okay, I think it's from the CD.
Yeah, sure. From the CD's fine.
Back here in a few minutes on the Circus.
I wanna love you, baby, love you with all my might. I cried all night long, I don't have to cry no more. I cried all night long, I don't have to cry no more. There's my baby, she's walking in my back door.
Question: is your home being foreclosed upon and you don't know where to turn? Maybe you were given a contract that you don't understand. For freedom and a worry-free solution, call for Legal Shield today at 213-245-1305. It's that simple. You will have access to high-quality law firms that will fight for you for less than $1 a day. Peace of mind is just a call away. That's for Legal Shield. Call 213-245-1305 or visit us at nocourt.us. It's justice for all and not justice for some. Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea, the American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's ABTRUSTCO.com, or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away.
This is Sal Tuzzolino, host and ringmaster of the Sports Circus. Why listen to the same old dog and pony show that you've heard all day long? The Sports Circus covers everything that other shows don't or are too scared to cover. There's no primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the mouth and you'll beg for more. You can call in and participate with our chaos if you dare. Join me and celebrity guests for Havoc and Mayhem weekdays at 5 p.m. Pacific here on AMP TV, or stream the show live at thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus, so we prove it every day.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes, are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
You'd be so nice by the fire while the breeze on high sang a lullaby. You'd be all that I could desire.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from the AMP.TV mobile studios here in fabulous Las Vegas. That's AAMP.TV. Folks, make sure you check out the sportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our podcasts, and also check out the partners page. Some fantastic charities are represented, as well as some of our long-standing partners in the community, such as the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming events. Back here on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, Hotel Television, AMP TV, AAMP.TV, and those streaming at the sportscircus.com. Here with Don Most, actor, singer, director, co-star of course, Happy Days. A lot of people know him from there as Ralph Malph, but he is a very diversified actor, musician. And Don, we just heard a piece when we came back in from break. What were we listening to?
Oh, that was the song, great Cole Porter song, You'd Be So Nice to Come Home To, and you heard a little piece of it from, that's the new CD that I'm working on, and we're about 3/4 done. And hopefully I'll be able to get back into the studio soon so we can finish it. It's coming along great. I'm excited about that.
That's fantastic. Give you a big round of applause for that.
Oh, okay.
Of course. All right, so before we went to break, you started mentioning something about a film with Tommy John.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that. I want to get into that.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I met Tommy probably the first time, I think it was when Happy Days, we had a softball team, and we would play in a lot of the major league parks prior to the real games, which was an incredible thrill for all of us. And, you know, I had dreams of being a ball player. So when I got to, and we'd go out during batting practice and I'd be shagging out there with some of the other major leaguers. I mean, it was like fantasy land. But I think I met Tommy the first time at Dodger Stadium during one of those games when he was with the Dodgers. Then I met him again years later down in spring training in Florida when he was with the Yankees. And so we'd run into each other, and he was such a nice guy. Then I ran into him at a big charity function, a gala, about 2 years ago, and we had some time to sit down and talk, and we started talking about, he said, you know, there's been some interest in doing a story about my life, and there's several books that have been written, and you know, with your background, you know, maybe we should talk. And we did. We talked a lot about it, and then I decided. And then I knew a producer out near me, Ryan O'Quinn of Damascus Road Productions, and we decided to option those books and the rights to his story, and see if we could turn it into a film. Because the more, and when I read one of the books, I could see that there's a great story, a great movie, you know, about somebody, his attitude. You talked about how great a guest he was. I mean, you get so impressed with Tommy when you meet him and get to know him. And when I read about what his, you know, he was the kind of guy that had so many of these obstacles, and his attitude and his belief and faith, and you know, that helped him get through that. I mean, a career-ending, you know, that injury he had that no pitcher could ever come back from, and that pioneering surgery that he went through and the rehabilitation, you know, and then he wound up winning more games after that surgery than he did prior to it. And then with some incredible personal challenges, story about with his son, and then it continued on into the book. That the one book opens up with him when he's 45 years old, and you know, and Steinbrenner likes him, so you know, he'd have him back, but the new manager Dallas Green didn't think there was any room in baseball for a guy 45, 46 years old, and there was no way he was going to make his team. And the way the book goes back and forth between that incident and then bringing him up, you know, from high school into baseball and then back and forth. It's just a really compelling story, and one of, you know, of inspirational story of how perseverance and belief, what you can achieve and what he did achieve. You know, he pitched for 26 seasons, second most in any pitcher ever. It's just amazing. So I'm, you know, there's been there's some. I just found out about a company that might be interested in this being one of the films in their next slate of films. So we'll see. We're keeping our fingers crossed, and some interest from another party as well. It would be a dream to get this project done, and be directing, be putting all that love of baseball and the love of filmmaking and great acting and stories all together. It would be a dream.
I would agree. Folks, back here with Don Most, actor, singer, director on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, and those watching on hotel television. And so we're talking about this really interesting forthcoming film with Tommy John. And it's funny, Don, when I was talking to Tommy last time, it came down to, I'm tired of people knowing me for an injury. Well, why does it have to be Tommy John surgery? And this is something that, frankly, I would be very bitter about it myself, because why would you associate a fantastic borderline Hall of Fame kind of pitcher with something bad? And every time something bad happens, doesn't matter, baseball, football, basketball, hockey, everyone's got Tommy John surgery. That's a bunch of nonsense.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can look at it two ways. It's also, look what it saved a lot of careers, in a lot of sports. So, but more important to the story was the way that Tommy approached something that seemed, almost impossible, and what he achieved after, even after the surgery. That's what I'm saying. He won more games after that than he won before. Over 100-something games. He won like 20 games. 18 months after the surgery, he's back pitching, and then the next season he wins over 20 games. So it's about the character. That's one facet of it. And it's not like the movie would be focusing on that and only that. It's just one of the things that, one facet of the entire story. And there's so much else to it. And he had a tremendous career. Yes, as a pitcher, he should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, not borderline Hall of Fame pitcher. He should be, and I'm sure he will be. I agree as well. The powers that be. The problem, Don, is that the writers and not the athletes are the ones that vote on this. And I think, frankly, it should be the players and coaches. The writers should have nothing to do with it whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, maybe they could have one part of it, but not the majority. Maybe they 25% of the votes that they contribute, and the rest are the players and the coaches. Maybe there's some formula like that, possibly. But I agree that it shouldn't be, only from their perspective. That doesn't make sense.
Right. That doesn't make sense, because they've never sat in the dugout. They've never been on the field. They have no idea what it's about to actually be in the game. But you know what I love about this story with him is that it started from you playing softball and shagging balls and whatnot, running into them when you're a young guy. And here you are decades later, and you're on the verge of getting this film done. That's fantastic. I just think it's amazing.
Yeah, it is pretty. When you put it that way, you're right. That's a great story in itself.
It is. I think there's your next film right there, young man.
Okay. All right.
You heard it here first. Just make sure the Sports Circus gets a little credit on the crawl.
You got it. You got it, Sal.
All right. Now, I think we either have a film clip or we have some music, because we only have a few minutes left here of the show. And I want to make sure, or at least of this segment, I want to make sure that you get as much in that as possible.
Okay. Well, let's see. What do you have ready to play or show? I mean, video, some people will see it, some won't. But the jazz bump. Okay. Oh, yeah, cool. All right. So this was when I was doing a concert down in Orlando at a venue called Full Sail. There's a university there that teaches all about production, TV and film and recording, and they have a great venue. And I got to do a concert with the wonderful Orlando Jazz Orchestra. Greg Parnell is the leader, wonderful drummer, and they had like all these cameras, 4 cameras capturing it, and so this was a promo that I edited together.
All right, let's see what we have.
Oh, it might be going into Mac tonight.
Could it be our boys done? something right. Diver, oh, yeah, should be tawdry. Look out, little Linya, and lose the ground. Yes, sir, right folks, we're on the right way. Now that Mackey's back in town. Look out, old Mackey is back.
All right, Don, listen, we're running on time here. Get your social media out. You got about 30 seconds, and we're going to wrap the segment up.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. It was great talking to you about all this and the sports element of it too with Tommy. But yeah, people check out the MBF on Amazon Prime, the movie that I'm in, and Viral Vignettes I did with Robert Wool, and finally my music, mostly swinging, you can find on Amazon Prime.
All right, Don, we're going to have you back another time. Thanks for joining us. Don Most, actor, singer, director, back here in a few minutes on The Circus. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
My favorite one had to do with the Green Bay Packers. And I love the fact that they dealt off Ty Montgomery because of a blown assignment. Green Bay isn't Green Bay unless they have a good running game. Then they can win 10 Super Bowls. The fact is, you don't have a running game. You've got 70% passing, and that's not where Aaron Rodgers needs to be. He needs to be in a position where he's got a running game to offset the passing game and so forth. I like the move. Green Bay didn't have a running game anyway, so all they're doing is saying, we're going to get rid of you because you don't follow instructions.
Well, he made one of the most boneheaded plays I've ever seen. There's 2 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock. They traded him on Tuesday.
They should have cut him on Sunday
He
night.
shouldn't have been on the plane back to Green Bay.
Right, they should have made him walk back to Green Bay.
No, it was a terrible play. Now, he's not a stupid guy. He went to Stanford. He's not a dumb guy.
He's not a dumb guy, but he doesn't follow instructions.
He made a terrible play.
The fact is he didn't follow instructions. And you say he's not a dumb guy. His own agenda he put ahead of his team.
I agree.
Thus, he is a dumb guy. Right or wrong?
Wrong. He just got selfish. You're not going to convince me that a guy from Stanford's a dum-dum.
No!
Yeah, this is Sidney Justin from The Miracles.
So you heard yesterday's show at Roy Firestone. Didn't you hear a little clip about him going into the office where Smokey was at? And that was really good material, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really funny, man.
Yeah, and then you heard him.
I thought it was hilarious. It was cool, though. It was cool. Really cool story, man. I enjoyed listening to that.
Right, and then he gave a couple of bars. Can you give us a couple of more from Ooh Baby Baby? And let's see if you could do it better than Roy Firestone. Come on, man!
All right, you know what? Why not? I did you wrong. My heart went out to play. But in the game, I lost you. What a price to pay. Hey, I'm crying. Ooh, baby, baby. How's that, man?
That's
Is that okay? Is that good enough?
That's incredible.
Fantastic.
You know why? Because that's what you do. You're in the incredible business, Sid. That's awesome. Yes! Only on the Sports Circus. You're going to get sports? You get music?
You're listening to the Sports Circus, and I'm Mike Golick.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from the Amp.TV mobile studios here in fabulous Las Vegas. That's AAMP.TV. This segment brought to you in part by Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances, estate planning, even contracts given to people they don't understand, plus a whole lot more. For more information, contact Legal Shield at 213-245-1305. That's 213-245-1305, or visit them online for more information at nocourt.us. That's nocourt.us. And a big welcome back to everybody listening in on Magic 97.9 FM right here in Las Vegas and our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Those watching on hotel television, welcome back. And everybody streaming at thesportscircus.com, welcome in as well. You know, Sonar, we had a great guest in the last few segments. I really enjoyed talking to Don Most, a very interesting guy, very diversified. And, you know, as the actors and actresses, they start at a younger age, and you could kind of see their careers evolve. Some of them actually just kind of stall out because they get typecasted. And it would have been very easy for Don to be typecasted in everything that he was going to do beyond his 7-year contract with Happy Days. But what I did realize is that he had a problem with it, just like a lot of other people, but he overcame the problem.
Yeah, it's hard to be typecasted every single time and try to overcome that. I mean, there's a lot of actors and actresses that's their entire rest of their career is to fight against their first real major blockbuster. So Don is a media guy, and I really appreciate that the most. He loves his craft, and he loves just entertaining. Like you meet those people who are just entertainers, regardless of what roles they were cast by, or really what medium that they were discovered in. They're just entertainers in general.
Right. You know, you think about that cast and you say, who went above and beyond from the Happy Days cast? I look at Don Most obviously did. Ron Howard from the directing side certainly did, but not really so much in front of the camera. But you know who else actually did quite a bit was Henry Winkler. Henry was in a lot of films. I mean, good films, very good films, great roles. And Tom Bosley obviously did a whole bunch of work before and after as well. Just very, very good actors. And it really takes a special talent to go beyond. Think about the two sport stars, and let's go to a guy like Michael Jordan. I mean, look, Michael Jordan did play baseball, and he wasn't a great baseball player, but it takes a talent to be able to play even at AA where Michael did play in the first place. So the diversification, you know, you think of guys like Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, they were baseball, football guys. And that two-sport thing is kind of like the same idea with two different types of roles. Now you say you have an actor and then you have a singer, right, for Don Most. And that's exactly the path that this guy was able to do. And he's actually a very good singer on top of it. Let's give him another big round of applause.
Well, also to your point, too, the Fonz, I mean, yeah, Henry Winkler was the Fonz. But in the same accord, the Fonz is the leather jacket and the hair. Without those two, do you really recognize Henry Winkler as the Fonz?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to. But I saw him play two memorable films for me. One of them was Click. You may remember that one with Adam Sandler. Mm-hmm. So he played a really good role as Adam Sandler's father in that. And also, one of my favorite movies was, I think it was called Night Shift, when he ran the city morgue, and that was with Michael Keaton. Just hilarious movies. I mean, look, that one just blew me away. Every time it's on television, I go out of my way to watch it. Just funny stuff.
Well, people that are diversified like that are really good to have around in that arena. And you were talking about the same thing of the sport, the people who can transcend whichever sport, triathletes or people who play basketball and baseball or baseball and football. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that have gone back and forth. But what about this? How close are we to the everyman for the football games? The football player that essentially can play every single role. the tight end that can do everything, the everyman football guy, because as long as they're an eligible receiver, they're still able to run and run routes and turn around and carry the ball and do everything. So when are we going to see the everyman or the football man come out?
Now, we've seen that in baseball. We saw that in baseball over 20 years ago. There was a guy by the name of Steve Lyons that played all 9 positions on the field. Yes, he pitched, caught first, second, third, short on all the outfield positions. And he was one of those guys that could actually play all positions and play them effectively. Now, in football, we're starting to get to a point where you'll see a guy, let's just say he comes in as maybe a quarterback, but almost like a wildcat, but he's also big enough. And you think about guys like Cam Newton. Cam Newton was one of those guys that could actually play potentially every position on the defensive side and on the offensive side. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. When are we going to see the triple threat? We've seen the two. We've seen the double threat. We've seen tight ends that are able to run and catch and then block. I mean, you're a body, you can block. Any football player can block. I mean, it's the same thing as every football player should be able to tackle. Like, those are two basic things. So we've seen that. We've seen you being able to run, throw, and catch. So when are we going to see the everyman football player that can do those 3 things, the triple threat? Is that what we're moving towards?
It could be, and I think the closest thing that we've ever had to that, but his career was cut short, was Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson could have played every position on the field. He had a tremendous arm. He's the fastest guy on the field. He was big, very difficult to bring down, and the guy could hit and he could tackle. I think Bo Jackson was the closest prototypical player that the football game, pick your favorite era, it doesn't matter. This guy had every tool. That he was the equivalent of a 5-tool player in baseball, but in football. He didn't have all the tools in baseball, but boy, the guy can hit and the guy can throw, and he was really fast. So his fielding abilities were a little questionable, but boy, Bo, I think in football is that guy you're talking about.
Exactly. So here's my thing. In future of football, the way I want to see it is a group of maybe 3 or 4 of the football men that can just play any slot, do anything, just a toolbox, a Swiss army of a player. Not necessarily the best, not necessarily what have you. And then shuffle them around. Do them like I'm doing the 3-card Monty, where I'm like, okay, you're going to catch, this time you're going to block, you're going to do this. Okay, the 3 of you are going to do your own 3-man screen. Things like that, where now you've got 3 football guys that can pass it back. Now you start looking at a screen of 3 football guys just out there having fun, blocking these lighter, faster maybe, but still lighter corners and things.
Now, I think you could get away with that at the skill positions, your wideouts, your tight end, your running back, fullback, your quarterback. I think everything outside the center and the other 4 linesmen, I think 7 or 6 guys you could actually do that with.
That's what I'm saying. 2 burners on the outside. You always need burners on the outside, and you always need
a spare. But they're quarterbacks too.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the other thing. They can all take direct snaps. So the 3 of them line up next to each other, and the other 2 just block to put it on. That's what I mean. So now where's the question? Should you have specialties that go against that, or is it better to have a guy that can do everything?
Think about this. Let's just say you have 6 quarterbacks on the field that are the all everything, right? And so you have the quarterback throws it to the slot receiver, right? So you have 3 guys, you got 1 in the slot, right? And so guess what? Now that quarterback who has the ball, he's running downfield, he's got people coming at him. Guess what? He's got 4 superstars, maybe 5, that are maybe trailing behind him that he can throw a perfect spiral to all the way across the field.
Exactly,
and
backwards.
A pass right to somebody else. It's almost like, that Stanford Cal game when they kept lateraling the ball, right? That kind of thing. But these guys have such tremendous accuracy, they could actually do the work and throw the ball maybe 30 yards to the other side of the field perfectly.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Now, they're not the fastest guys in the world. They're not the biggest guys in the world, but they can do it all. They're perfectly capable of doing something like that. Now, the other thing is, so that's the other side, is that, or do you go completely specialty? Your running back is your running back. That's it. You have the two flavors. You got the fast guy, the big guy. Done. Are you just checking boxes, or is it better to have a bunch of jack of all trades that you can kind of switch around? Again, playing 3-card Monty with which position is doing what. Because what that's going to do is throw off your defense. Because who do you always match up with? Fast guys, slow guys, everything else. You have those matchups. If I'm able to switch up my matchups on you, then what are you really going to do? I'm able to pull whatever scheme I want to and get away with it almost.
Right. And look, I think the best chance we have to see that would be in the XFL, because, they have the double pass. You could do the double pass in the XFL, which I think is fantastic. And it doesn't have to be a backwards lateral. As long as you're behind the line of scrimmage, your tailback could swing out. If your quarterback's in the shotgun, the quarterback could throw it out to the tailback forward. As long as the tailback is before the line of scrimmage, then the tailback, even though it was a forward pass, the tailback could throw the ball downfield. And so I think with that kind of a game plan or that diversity, maybe the Battlehawks might be doing something like that. I know you're a big fan of the Battlehawks.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe that is possible in the XFL.
Well, that's what I mean. You get halfway. Let's say you get 10, 15 yards up on your screen, and you realize this thing is falling apart. They're coming after us, everything else. You completely turn around, throw it back behind the line of scrimmage where you left one guy who can grab it, catch it, and throw it back to the guy, the burner who made it all the way down to the end zone when you had that distraction. I would name my team the Magicians. Like, it's crazy.
Maybe that might be the best name. I don't know. But I would love to see that kind of diversity in at least one of the pro levels of football. And I consider the XFL as a legitimate pro level of professional football. That's my opinion. I don't know about yours, but to me, the XFL is just as entertaining. The talent may be a little bit less, but I think they make up for it with the way that they actually play the game. So that might be the place where you could see it.
Chat told us that we should just clone Terry Crews.
Right? I think you have the big pecs jumping up and down. That guy is too much. Boy, he's a funny guy. I'd love to get him on the show. Terry, if you're listening, call us right away. Hurry up, or just text us at the Sports Circus somewhere. Get in touch with us. All right, folks, we're out of time. A big thanks for Don Most joining us today. Actor, singer, director, co-star of Happy Days. You may remember him as Ralph Malph. Thanks for Don showing up today, and also Sonar doing a great job in Chicago. I'm your Ringmaster Sal here in Las Vegas, and we'll see you next time right here on your favorite station. Till then, so long, everyone.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557.